Hey guys, this is Chad C. Watson and Michael Vaughn, and welcome to another Michael Vaughn story time. You know, at my house, we used to mess with people driving by my house all the time. We'd go so far as shooting their car with a water hose, and sometimes I go, since my grandparents bought everything in excess, I would go in the bathroom while they were watching TV and mix up anything that would say flammable.
And stuff.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
or the that electroshave shit that you put on your face if you use an electric razor to make your whiskers stand up. I'd mix all that shit together and I'd put it out in the road on 4th Street in Rosiclare and set the street on fire, wait for people to come and see what they thought about it. Most of the time they'd turn around and I'd put it out so that I wouldn't get some kind of,
I remember seeing one person drive through it.
Yeah. But anyway, we'd mess with people that would come by. Well, between all of us, we had, like Halloween stores where the Halloween masks. I think I was in the Scream mask, because I don't remember who
I had to have been in the Sting mask.
Yeah.
Because I always wore the Sting mask. Because I drew all that shit all over the face, having it looked all dreadlock the hair, and yeah. And
it was me and you and JP, and I think Belford was there.
Yeah, because I think Belford took off. I think he ran and back
Tony Littrell, a reputable figure down there, was driving by, and he drove a giant yellow. It was a Dodge.
It was like a F-250. No, it was a Dodge. Yeah, it was a Dodge. Because I remember that grill was Yeah,
and we ran out the road trying to scare him, like we're scary and all this shit. And he slammed his brakes on. I remember we all went back running, and I was in that Scream mask, and I couldn't see where the shit. And I remember it tripping and falling, landing basically face first in the yard.
Now keep in mind, we were like 16 or 17, weren't we?
No. It was in 2001. It was after Angie and me broke up. Yeah. So we were 20.
Oh shit!
We were that old doing it. And I remember it. And so you and JP and whoever went in the garage, and
which was like going into like a dark room with like everything imaginable in it. Because you couldn't see where you're going, and it was packed full.
It was like on Hoarders, but with 2 cars in there.
Yeah.
And no, I went there originally first.
Yeah.
And we had a big driveway going upward, and his Explorer was sitting there. Well, we're and we also had
when you did that.
Shut up. And there was a side driveway coming in because my aunt and uncle from Michigan would come in, and we made it specifically for them to park their camper, their RV, or whatever there. And anyway, Tony pulled into that. Well, I wanted to be a smart ass and pull Looney Tunes, so in the garage I found the top part of my mom's Christmas tree, and I'll demonstrate this here.
This was classic.
I grabbed the top part and walked out of the garage doing this
in front of its face
with the tree, like he couldn't see me, like it was something off Looney Tunes.
Tony, he hollered at you for that.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I see you," and the whole time his lights are shining into my grandpa's windows. Well, all of a sudden I hear our back door open.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit."
Let me add, there's 2 things you should not do on Earth. That's wake up Nanny, and you especially sure as shit don't want to wake up Pa.
Which is almost impossible.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit." And as soon as that door opened, the other 2 were in the garage, and it sounded like a fucking bomb went off in a junkyard, them trying to get out the one like normal door in the back of it.
Yeah, I remember that now.
And as my grandpa I was watching was coming around this way in front of the Explorer, I was sneaking around the back, and he goes all the way over to Tony Littrell. My grandpa was a state cop, and he was on the riot squad and all that. And I don't know what he said, but he got in Tony Littrell's face and was, I guess, bitching him out for waking him up with the lights. And
what time of the morning? That was pretty early in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't like real late, but it had to have been like 1 in the morning or so. And he goes back in, and I'm still hiding around the Explorer, have no idea where the other guys are at. And Belford had ran like all the way off into the other side of the lawn, which my grandparents own like almost a block of Rosiclare, and which isn't much, but I remember he found us and said, Guys, Dorothy, my grandma, is pissed, and she was sitting there on the porch smoking, cigarette after cigarette as always.
Yeah.
And we finally went up to her, and by the time we went up to her, she thought it was kind of funny. I'm sure I got the threat of having to get up and mow the lawn at 5 in the morning. I always did.
We got threatened with that
We got threatened with that for probably almost a decade.
And never once did we have to get... We never were asleep by that time.
I had to mow the lawn, but, it made no sense because the grass is so fucking wet you can't fucking mow it.
Yeah.
But
never once did she ever...
And it's like, God, that's, the worst threat possible. It's like, you're not grounded, I'm beating your ass, it's you gotta mow the lawn. It's like, okay, that's something I do anyway.
Yeah, when she would give that threat, I wouldn't get it as much because Chad, obviously Chad lived there and he'd have, company. When I went there, he'd have Kimes over or Pinnell or something like that. And, everybody got the threat, but I will never forget,
me and you got the most.
Oh,
we got it hands down.
Anytime she would, she'd come downstairs at 2 in the morning, whatever, 3 in the morning. Back then, that was fucking really late for us, now I stay up till 7 in the morning, but...
Dude, we were up till sunrise.
Oh, yeah. And she'd say, your fucking asses are getting up with me at fucking 5 in the morning and you're mowing the lawn. And it never failed. I'd usually fall asleep. Chad would always stay up later than me. But, if I did fall asleep, I'd wake up about 9 or 10 because I was still adjusted to being in school and stuff, I wasn't lazy yet, so... I'd wake up kind of early and Dorothy'd have breakfast waiting on us and, we never had to mow that lawn, so. I'm trying to think